Our topic in module number 7 is about marine and coastal hazard mitigation and adaptation. So, the main objective in studying about the marine coastal hazard and mitigation and adaptation is to identify the different marine and coastal hazards, okay? And to identify the to differentiate the tsunami and storms surge, to describe and explain the effect of two types of tides in the to the rising and falling of the water, and also to cite the practical ways to prevent the mitigate this natural hazard. So the key question are, what are the effects of coastal processes, right? Then how can you help in coping with marine and coastal related hazards such as beach erosion, tides, storm surge, and saltwater erosion? So, yun po yung ating questions or the key questions that we're going to answer while we are studying about the marine and coastal hazard and mitigation. So, as an overview, it is said here that the Philippine coastline is irregular with numerous bays, gulfs, and islets. Okay? So, it has total length of 36,298 kilometers and is ranked as the fifth among the countries with longest coastline from Canada, which has 202,080 kilometers, while Indonesia has 54,716 kilometers of coastline, and then the Greenland is 44,087 kilometers. Then the Russia naman has its 37,654 kilometers. So they are being the first, second, third, and fourth na merong pinakamahabang coastline along the or in the world, okay, respectively. And almost completely landlocked, it is considered as one of the most greatest or the world's great harbors and has an area of 770 square miles with a 120-mile circumference and considered as the country's busiest commercial hub. Okay? So, the dry land is surrounded by a coastline. Okay? So, yung dry land daw, guys, is surrounded siya ng tinatawag natin na coastline. Okay? And it has a bodies of water and its surface processing affecting seas and oceans. And seas will eventually affect the land through the coastline. Okay? So, these are the different terms that you need to come across. Okay? In order for you to understand more about our lesson. Okay? So, pag sinabi natin current surface, yung i-highlight ni ma'am, these are the masses of moving water primarily caused by global. Pag sinabi natin global, the global phenomena that usually happens on Earth, yun yung pangyayari na yun, dun siya nakabase, yung surface currents. Okay? So, the wind patterns are the winds on Earth that are either global or local. Okay? Global winds blow in the same directions all the time, and they are created when more solar energy strikes the equator than the polar regions. Okay? So, more about global winds patterns naman. It describes the details of what we call global wind belt. Okay? Then, sumunod naman na cover ng surface current is the rotation of the Earth. So, this rotation of the Earth, hat is Coriolis effect. Okay? So, yung init daw na meron sa ating actually that is HOT. Okay? So, yung init daw na nararamdaman natin sa Earth is because of what we call the Coriolis effect. Okay? This Coriolis effect is the causes that ocean currents turn Okay? And more information about the phenomena can be found in the concept of Coriolis effect. Okay? And then the shape of the ocean basins. Yan. So, the shape of the ocean basins, it said here that the surface current move across the ocean and eventually the current runs into land. When it does it and it turns right in the northern hemisphere and left in the southern hemisphere. So, yung sinasabi natin na surface current na tinatawag, eto siya. Yan, yung pinapakita sa illustration. Yan yung surface current na tinatawag. Okay? So, next. Okay, so medyo na-zoom lang ni ma'am para mas makita po natin siya. Okay? So, another one that is covered by surface current is the gyres. There. Letter B. Ano? Yung gyres naman. Pag sinabi nating gyres, these are the largest scale. Yan. The largest scale of wind of water that maintains the overall surface temperature that is constant by exchange surface current from polar region down to the equator region. So, meaning to say, yung gyres daw, yun yung sets of wind, okay, na umiikot sa Earth, okay, o na meron sa Earth, that is either cool or warmer water, okay? Pag sinabi nating cool air rather, yung pag sinabi nating cool air, this is a type of air that is existing or currently existing on polar regions. Pag sinabi naman nating warm air or warmer air, these are the type of air that is existing on the equator regions. Ano ba yung equator? Di ba yun yung nasa pinakang gitna ng Earth? Tama ba? Yun yung mga area na nasa pinakang gitna ng Earth. Okay? So, another one that is, we need to, yan, remember is the deep ocean circulation. Okay? So, from that deep ocean circulation, guys, it is also known as the thermohaline circulation because it is controlled by the temperature and salinity in the water. Okay? And the polar waters to equatorial regions or vice versa through the vertical cycles is it is always influenced by what we call surface currents. Okay? At yung surface currents na yan ay usually nakikita sa mga area o sa mga anong tawag dito, water area ng Earth. Eh, di ba, the Earth is composed of almost 70% of water and 30% of land. Okay? So, ganun yung ano niya. Ganun yung deep ocean circulation. So, doon siya madalas na nakikita o natatagpuan. Sa letter D naman po, okay? The shore and the shorelines. These shore and shorelines is the land or near the edge of the water, while the shoreline is used to describe the marking or the line marking the edge of water. And then the shoreline is divided between the land and the body of water. So, yung shore daw, usually, ito yung pinakang land. Kumbaga, baybay dagat o baybayin ng dagat. Tama ba? Tabing dagat mismo yung pinakang shore. Tapos yung shoreline, it is the boundary between the water and then the land. Siya yung nagde-divide. Okay? So, they are composed of this, yung foreshore na tinatawag, guys. Yung foreshore is the submerged portion during the high tide. Diba? Kasi yung shoreline ba, is not na ano siya. Diba kapag nagkakaroon ng high tide, mas pag tumataas yung tubig, is natatabunan yung pinakang shoreline. Diba? So, yun yung foreshore na tinatawag. Yun yung nagsasubmerge portion kapag tumataas. Yung backshore naman, yun naman yung naiiwan o natitira kapag nagkaroon ng tinatawag na storm. Okay? Tapos, yung near shore zone, is the area that submerged even the low tide, okay? That also marks the area where waves break. I remember the first time I went to Puerto Galera. Ah, mga around 5 p.m. yun, guys. That is, tama, 4 to 5 p.m. Nandun kami sa isang resort, that is a Friday's resort ang tawag ko. Pagbaba namin doon sa resort, ano yun low tide that time, 4 to 5 p.m. Alam niyo yung pinakang malalim na, yung malalim na parte na, ng napuntahan pa namin siya. Tapos nakita namin yung mga maliliit na coral reefs. Okay? So, yun yung tinatawag natin na offshore. Nakaano pa siya, sorry po, that is a near shore. Nakikita mo pa siya, natatapakan mo pa siya during the low tide, pero nakasubmerge pa rin siya. Hindi siya umaano. Anong tawag dito? Hindi siya, hindi nawawala ng tubig. Kumbaga, nawawala si ma'am. Hindi nawawala ng tubig dun sa area na yun, bagamat low tide. 'Di ba? Samantalang kapag ka naman yung sa foreshore is yun naman yung nagsasubmerge as in natatabunan na siya ng tubig. Lumulubog baga. Ganyan, sa tubig. So, yung offshore naman, these are the seaward, that is direction, or the seaward direction from the near shore. Okay? So, ito yung pinakang malalim na part, 'di ba? Aside from yung near shore na pwede mo pang mapuntahan kapag low tide, yun na yung pinakang malalim na part. Na kapag nag-high tide, grabe yung tubig, yung taas ng tubig doon sa area na yun. Okay? So, yun yun. Yun yung part ng shore and shorelines. Okay? So, another one sa letter E is the coast and coastline ng beach. Yan. Coast, coastlines, and the beach. Yan. So, the coastline is a strip of land of variable width that extends from the body of water inland to regional break in retained features. Samantalang yung coastline naman, it is the form that the boundary between the coast and a major body of water. Okay? So, sabi nga, di ba, yung coastline, yun yung pinakang nag-boundaries ng bodies of water and then ng land. Okay? Then, yung beach naman, guys, ito yung yung may mga white sand, yan, na yung more on may land siya, tapos malapit pa rin sa, sa dagat. Okay? So, ito po siya. This is an illustration of the cross-section. Ito, yan. I-highlight na ni ma'am para makita nyo, no? This is a cross-sectional comparison that is showing the shore, shoreline, and then the coastline and the beach. Okay? As you can see at the offshore, ito yung pinakamalalim na part. Okay? Yung pinopoint ni ma'am sa baba. Ito yung pinakang malalim na part. Yan. So, i-zoom natin siya ng konti para mas makita nyo po. Yan. So, the offshore is yun yung nasa pinakang malalim na part. Okay? So, it is near the what we call the breaker zone. Okay? Lumampas na siya sa breaker zone na tinatawag or what we call the near shore. Okay? Ito siya. And then, ito yung pinakang near shore. Yan. Malalim na kumbaga. Malalim na yung part na yan, guys. Tapos, sumunod naman is the foreshore. Ito yung pinakang foreshore niya. Okay? Yan. Kumbaga parang papaganyan kasi siya. Papalalim kasi yung part na yan. Tapos yung backshore naman, ito siya. Then yung coastlines, the boundaries between the water or the bodies of water and the land. And then, this is the coastal area. Okay? Opo. Yan. Okay. So, let's proceed now with letter F, which is the waves. Okay? So, the waves are the evidence of water that is transferring energy from one area to another. Diba? Sa Tagalog, alon. Diba? Tama? So, yung alon, ito yung evidence of water that is transferring its energy from one place to another. Okay? Then, the waves has two types. Merong dalawang klase ng wave. These are the constructive and then the destructive type of wave. Pag sinabi natin constructive, it is the addition of sediments in the beach that further extends the shoreline seaward. So, sa constructive, ito yung mga klase ng wave na yung ibang buhangin, yan, na natataglay nila is dinadala nila sa beach, 'di ba? Sa pinakang coastline para tumaas pa siya, 'di ba? Yung destructive naman is ito naman yung ine-erode pababa, 'di ba? Or isinasama nila sa kanilang pag-alon yung buhangin, 'di ba? So yung sa Impanta, ganun yung nangyayari, 'di ba? Kapag malakas yung alon, usually yung buhangin is isinasama nila pabalik. Tapos meron naman na isinasama din ng buhangin papunta sa coastline, 'di ba? So ganun yung itsura niya. So the destructive has its effect, okay? Number one is the sea level rise, okay, wherein it is caused primarily by two factors related to global warming, which are the added water form, that is melting the ice sheets and glaciers, and the expansion of seawater, which result to more number of coasts submerged in the water. Yun yung unang epekto ng destructive wave. Pangalawang epekto ng destructive wave is the process is increasing the elevation of the land from different process such as earthquake, igneous rock intrusion, and plate movements resulting to the shoreline retraction, which expose from land seaward. Okay? So, yun po siya. So, yung letter G, ayan. So, yung letter G naman, guys, these are the changes in the sea level occurring in the land or on daily cycle. Ito yung pabago-bago ng sea level base sa daily cycle na nangyayari sa dagat. So, tides are a rise and fall of the sea level caused by combined effect of gravitational forces exerted by the moon and the sun and the rotation of the earth. Okay? So, yun daw tides, ito ay tumataas at saka bumabagsak mula sa dagat. Okay? Sa pamamagitan ng combined effect ng gravitational forces na meron sa earth that is exerted by the moon and then ng sun. Okay? And also, yung rotation ng earth, yun yung dahilan kung bakit nagkakaroon ng tides. So, merong dalawang klase, there are two main types of tides. These are spring tides and neap tides. Pag sinabi natin spring tides, it occurs when the sun and the moon are straight line. Yan. Tapos, the tidal range is typically higher during spring tide, that is having higher or high tides and lower tides. Okay? So, yung spring tides daw, it is composed of low tides and high tides. Okay? So, nangyayari daw ito kapag yung alignment ng sun at saka ng moon is straight. Pantay sila. Nasa gitna nila yung earth, ito yung sun, and then nasa kabila si moon. Pantayan sila. So, doon nagkakaroon ng low tide tsaka high tide. Okay? Tapos, kapag neap tide naman, this usually occur when the sun and the moon forms the right angle. Nakaganyan siya. Diba? Yung sa spring tide, nakapantay siya. Yun namang isa is naka-right angle siya. Okay? Naka-angular position. Ika nga. So, in neap tide, during the neap tides, low tides are higher than normal and high tides are lower than normal. So, meaning to say, there is a contradiction between the neap tide and spring tide. Kung sa spring tide, yung low tide is mababa yung tubig, tas yung high tide sa kanya, mataas ang tubig. Sa neap tide, yung low tide nila is mataas in its common situations. Okay? Or normal situations. Tapos yung high tide nila is mababa. Yan. Ganun po siya. So, this illustration shows the differentiating spring. Okay? Spring tide and neap tide in their monthly total cycle or tidal cycle. So, in this illustration, I will show you about the every 7 days. Okay? All the alteration of the spring tide and neap tide every 7 days. Okay? So, sa spring tide, the alignment of the Earth and Moon system is in a straight line. Okay? So, usually, it happens during the lunar phases. Okay? Or what we call the new moon and full moon. Sa lunar and solar bodges naman, nangyayari dito yung tinatawag nating constructively interference or interfere. Meaning to say, dito nangyayari yung constructive wave na tinatawag, wherein most of the sand is tinatangay ng alon papunta sa seashore para maipon doon, para mas tumaas pa yung coastline, yung boundary ng tubig sa boundary ng land sa tubig. Okay? Tapos, during the neap tide naman, sa neap tide, the Earth and the Moon system is at the right angle or in right angular angle. Nakaganyan siya. Okay? So, sa lunar phase nito, yung pinakang lunar phase nito, this usually happens in the first quarter and third quarter of the month. Okay? And usually, the lunar and the solar bodges naman, ang nangyayari sa kanya during the neap tide is nagkakaroon siya ng tinatawag na destructive interference. Pag sinabi nating destructive interference, in contradiction with constructive interference, yung buhangin is tinatangay ng alon palabas o pabagsak sa tubig. Okay? So, usually, ang nangyayari sa kanya, nagkakaroon siya ng mga small tidal range. Okay? So, maliliit na alon lang yung nangyayari during the neap tide. Okay? So, sabi dito, all tides involve the rise and fall of the sea level, but vary according to lunar, solar, and atmospheric forces at work. Okay? So, yan. So, these are the 4 types that encompasses the atmospheric variations. So, meron tayong tinatawag na diurnal. Pag sinabi nating diurnal, guys, this usually happen, okay, every day, okay, or daily. So, yung isa, either high tide, yung pangalawa naman is either in low tide. Okay? So, nung isang halimbawa nito, yung mga lugar na malapit sa dagat, during 6 a.m. or 4 in the morning, hanggang 4 in the afternoon, high tide sila. 'Di ba? Tapos, kapag ka naman mga 4:30 in the afternoon, until late at night, siguro mga 12 a.m. ng madaling araw, or ng hating gabi, is low tide naman sila. 'Di ba? So, the diurnal tide has has one episode of high water and one episode of low water each day. So, ganun yung nangyayari. Kaya nga, example nito, nung when we go to an area na malapit sa dagat, tinatanong kami kung anong oras kami uuwi. Kasi, baka abutan kami ng pagtaas ng tubig. Kasi pag mataas daw yung tubig, mas malalakas yung alon. 'Di ba? Kasi malalakas din yung hangin nung time na yon, okay? So, these tides usually occur in the locations when the moon is farthest from the equator. So, yung diurnal motion or yung diurnal tide, nangyayari daw yan kapag yung location daw ng moon is malayo siya sa equator. Okay? Then, sumunod naman is semi-diurnal. Pag sinabi nating semi-diurnal, guys, this is actually happens twice a day. Okay? So, nangyayari daw ito twice a day. And a semi-diurnal tide has 2 episodes of equal high water and 2 episodes of low equal water each day. Okay? Then number 3 is the mixed tide, or what we call the mix, or twice but of different intensity. Okay? So, the mixed tide, like the semi-diurnal tidal, can have 2 episodes of high water and 2 episodes of low water per day. Okay? Next is the meteorological tide. This meteorological tide naman, the first 3 tides listed are astronomical tides, meaning they are influenced by gravitational action by sun, by moon, and then the earth. And then sumunod is the meteorological tide, that is represent all the atmospheric influence tides, such as those affected by wind, biometric pressure, rainfall, ice melting, and land drying. Okay? So, this illustration, this shows the tsunami. Yan. Itong illustration na to, guys, shows the tsunami with a record that ran up a high of 1,720 feet or 520 meters occur in Lituya Bay in Alaska. Okay? So, halos kapantay siya ng pinakamataas na building sa Alaska, and that is the Empire State Building. Okay? Yun. Yun siya. Umaabot siya ng halos 500 meters or lampas pa sa 500 meters. Ano po? Okay? So, let us now proceed with the marine and coastal hazard naman. So, this marine and coastal hazard is composed of its different variation. Okay? Nagko-compose daw siya ng iba't ibang variation. Ang number 1 nito is the tsunamis and storm surge. So, pag sinabi natin tsunamis and storm surge, actually, napag-aralan na natin siya doon sa nakaraang module natin sa meteorological hazard. Okay? Wherein, we identify what is tsunami, and then we also identify the meaning of the storm. Okay? So, the tsunami or tsunami's warning are based on the distance from particular station and how fast the wave can travel. Ayan. So, yung tsunami daw, it gives off a warning that is based on a distance of any particular station. Okay? At ang sinusukat dito is yung gaano kabilis yung travel ng wave from one area to another. Okay? So, communities living nearby the shore are advised to be aware of the earthquake that is happening in the offshore. Kasi, yung tsunami, guys, is nangyayari o nag-o-occur kapag nagkaroon ng earthquake sa ilalim ng dagat. Kasi yung pinakang pressure yung pressure sa ilalim ng dagat kapag nagkaroon ng earthquake is umaangat yan. Okay? At iniiangat nito yung tubig. Kaya nagkakaroon ng tsunami. Okay? So, in this illustration, this shows how an underwater earthquake causes tsunami. Okay? As you can see dito sa illustration 1 is, ayan siya. Once na nagkaroon ng earthquake, there will be an overriding of plates. Okay? Pag sinabi nating overriding of plates, magkakaroon ng paggalaw. Diba? Kapag nagkaroon ng paggalaw ng tectonic plates, magkakaroon ng pag-angat ng tubig. Okay? Unti-unti lang yan. Unti-unti po siya. Hindi yung biglaan na umaangat yung tubig. So, una, magkakaroon muna ng movement or overriding ng tectonic plates, and then sumunod, unti-unting aangat yung tubig. But actually, pag umangat yung tubig, kasabay nito, aangat din yung yung lupa. Okay? Yung lupa na malapit doon sa tubig. Yun yung unang-unang mangyayari. Then, sumunod na nun, kapag umangat siya, Sa pangatlo, pag-angat niya, saka naman pag bumaba ito, 'di ba? Syempre, sa pangalawa, umangat yung lupa na malapit sa dagat o malapit sa tubig. Pag ibinaba ito o bumaba ito because of the movement of the tectonics, pag bumaba siya, ang kasunod na nun ay ang pag-angat ng tubig. Okay? So kapag umangat na yung tubig, saka magkakaroon ng tsunami. Magkakaroon na ng movement of water. Okay? So yun yung explanation or illustration na nagpapakita kung paano nga ba namumuo yung tsunami sa dagat. Okay? So, number 2. Okay? Yung number 2 na tayo is the tidal flooding. Okay? As you can see at the tidal flooding, the occurrence of high tides can bring seawater inland, which can cause flooding. Okay? So, pag sinabi nating flooding, guys, it means pagbaha. Tama? So, usually, nangyayari ito kapag nagkakaroon na ng high tide. May mga area kasi talaga na masyadong mababa. Kaya kapag nagkaroon ng high tide, inaabot ito ng tubig. Diba? Inaabot siya ng tubig. So, the flooding now occurs with high tides in many locations due to the climate-related sea level rise, land subsidence, and loss of natural barriers. Okay. So, ganun siya. Sumunod naman, number 3 is the beach erosion. There. Guys, sa beach erosion naman, ito ay nangyayari during the destructive tide. Na kapag nagkaroon ng destructive tide. So, the beach erosion occurs when waves and currents remove the sand from the beach system. Yun nga yung sinasabi ko during the constructive tide. So, kapag malakas masyado yung alon, tinatangay nito yung, anong tawag dito, yung sand at saka yung mga bato na meron sa beach system, iniaanod niya papunta sa tubig. Kaya nagkakaroon ng erosions. Diba? So, ganun yung nangyayari. So, the loss of sand causes the beach to become narrower or humihina. Ano? Yung pinakang compact o yung pinakang, anong tawag dito, yung system nung lupa o yung pagkakadikit-dikit ng lupa is humihina. Okay, yung pinakang kapit niya. So yung elevation niya is mas bumababa. Okay? So the storm waves carries the sand offshore, which is depositing and storing the sediment in large sandbars. And in weeks and in months following the storm, the sand is returned to the beach by a calm water wave. So ganun yung nangyayari sa kanya. Okay? So parang ano siya, balikan lang. Parang ganun. Kapag umalon ng malakas, tinatangay o iniaalon paalis o tinatangay rather ng alon na malalakas yung mga buhangin, yung mga bato, 'di ba? Pero kapag naman during the constructive wave or tide, ibinabalik naman ito. So kumbaga sa ibang ano naman siya. Okay? Para makapag-form ng coastline. Okay? As a boundary between the land and water. Okay? So, number 4 is the saltwater intrusion. Yan. So, sa saltwater intrusion, guys, it is the movement of saline water into freshwater aquifers. Okay? So, it can lead to groundwater quality degradation that is including the drinking water, the sources, and other consequences. Okay? So, the saltwater intrusion can naturally occur in coastline aquifers that is owing to the hydraulic connection between the groundwater and seawater. So, tingnan natin dito sa illustration. As you can see, in the illustration, an aquifer is an underground layer of the water bearing permeable rock dito. Ito siya. Ito yung pinaka-aquifer niya. Okay? So, siya yung nag-hold doon sa buhangin, sa anong tawag dito, sa bato na nasa ilalim ng dagat. Okay? Yun yung aquifer na tinatawag. Okay? So, kapag ka gumalaw yun yung unang-unang umangat. Kapag nagkaroon ng tectonic plate movement, yun yung unang-unang gumagalaw, the aquifer. Okay? So, that will be our topic for today sa ating last ng module number 7, which is about ito yung title natin, Marine and Coastal Hazard Mitigation and Adaptation.